the biggest news we seem to be getting is of rugby league players going, not of rugby union players going.
Yeah, I think the reason this is back in the press is that yesterday or the day before they triggered the pre-contracts. It's still not legally valid. So if you've got a contract, if you're Antoine Dupont and you've had a pre-contract of 1.5 million a season, I think it's pending World Rugby approval. But for me, this is the rugby version of Fyre Festival. I don't see it happening. If it does happen, right, I would say they'll come out to play in a stadium in Miami, and there'll be 10,000 people there. Yeah. You know, if ever, like Madrid the same, Lisbon the same. I don't think you see the Babas, and the Babas have an unbelievable tradition. But the majority of people go to see Babas v England because they're English fans and they want the novelty of the Babas. Would you go to see the Babas against the Penguins? You know what I mean? And that's the Penguins are an invitational side. Sorry, that I played for, whatever. But it's like I don't see how you would build a business model on this. The two interesting things for me was that effectively it looks like they've found Saudi money, oil money. So the teams we registered, the United Arab Emirates, that for the last year they've been trying to sell these franchises to billionaires. Yeah. Okay. And the scary thing was, the interesting thing was they hadn't ever been able to say, we've sold this franchise to this NFL owner or whatever, right? So now it looks like the company's going to be based in the United Arab Emirates. I still don't think World Rugby will sign off on it. I think this is a dead duck. But in fairness to them, they're continuing to push ahead. It's easy to get players to sign pre-contracts if you throw a huge amount of money on them when there's no risk. There's no risk, the contract isn't worth anything bar the hassle and the legal fees to get it wrapped up. The other thing that they've interestingly said is the players will own their IP. So basically, players will own their intellectual property, and they will use that as a big selling point. And that basically this whole rugby competition will increase their exposure around the world and lead to endorsement deals and all that stuff. So players will fall for that, I think, and be interested in that. The last thing is players can choose their own country of residence and won't be asked to reside in their franchise location. Again, players would like that idea of being able to pick wherever, Miami or Boston or Dubai. So the players will sign for it, but my fear would be that two things: World Rugby won't sign off on, and then if they do, that within a year or two it'll just blow up. Because I don't see the figures being there in terms of fan engagement or following.
And Jonny, to put it to you, the one question that I've had throughout all of this that is yet to be answered is why is R360 a good thing? What will it do? What will it do for rugby aside from? And I've no issue with players earning large amounts of money, but the only thing they're selling this with is the players are going to earn so much money. There seems to be nothing in this for the person who actually. Like, there's no thought put into anyone who actually wants to watch it. Who's got they've used the example of the IPL, the Indian Premier League in cricket, so often, and how this is this franchise league, and it's like a traveling circus kind of a thing. But they're ignoring the fact that the Indian Premier League is in India, which has a population of 1 billion or so people, and cricket is a religion in the country. Cricket isn't a religion in Miami or Boston or Tokyo or Dubai.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I think the money isn't sustainable money. Like, they're getting money from people to pay for it to get up and running, to get players in, and you're not talking, as Bernard said, like sold out stadiums. Not yet, anyway. Like, you're not talking about self-sustainable practices in terms of finances to keep these people in the game. And then you look at the international bodies, like I think Australia have come out and said they won't be picking anyone that plays with R360. So like all of a sudden pre-contracts are starting to dwindle, and if the rugby bodies don't back it, then you're going to get retiring professionals or people that, you get a country like South Africa, maybe they'll offload someone that's earning big money, keep them happy for 1 to 2 years, and off they come back to a World Cup squad. Maybe you get things like that where countries will play it quite cleverly, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I like the fact that rugby is trying to do something to develop and make it more sustainable over the long term, or make it more, like everyone knows the rugby clubs lose money, and I don't know how like in Ireland, we know the RFU bears the brunt of a lot of that. I don't know how it really works in other countries. I know obviously French clubs are privately owned and they'll have their own financial ways of doing things, but rugby doesn't really earn money at the moment. And I like the fact that they might be doing something to try and change that, but it doesn't seem like it's a realistic one. Like Bernard has said, I don't think it's realistic for them to sustain the level of cash that is needed to get it off the ground. I don't think they can keep it going that way. So I'm not sure they're going to get the model right. It seems a bit pie in the sky at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm really interested in this. Like, I'm passionate about rugby. I have no issue if I'd love to see players getting $1 million a year, but everyone I ask about why is this a good thing, they say, oh, it's a disruptor, right? It's going to disrupt the game, whatever, right? And players are now going to get what they deserve. But the reality is, it's not like, as Jonny pointed out.
But if the market can't sustain it, is it what they deserve?
It's nonsense, because the unions in general aren't. There's no individuals benefiting from. So if English rugby has a great year and they have a massive revenue, that money will go back into the game, and players will benefit from that. Like, it's not like the Glazers taking money out of Man United, and the players deserve more of that money. I just think this will do more harm than good, because it actually will affect the domestic games in each country, because
it'll inflate wages in other
well, if
leagues.
Caelan Doris or Jack Crowley go on R360, the games they play for their franchise will be games they miss for Munster or Leinster. That's the issue. So am I going to want to go into Thomond Park if 4 Munster's best players aren't there? So that's the knock-on effect. So there is an effect to this, and it will disrupt.
And you're not going to fly to Miami to watch them.
No, of course you won't. You won't, because people follow teams that that they can identify with, and this would take maybe 10 years to build something. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't see it get off the ground, to be honest, but they're driving on. Yeah, they're driving on.
Right. Who knows? We might be rebranding as the R360 podcast this time next year.